Hey guys, welcome to today's Vehicle Visionary. Today we're going to take a look at this 2021 Mercedes-Benz GLS 450 4MATIC. My friends at Mercedes-Benz of Shreveport have loaned me this three-row SUV for the day. And as we work our way around to the front end, you're going to find the LED intelligent light system is part of this vehicle, as well as the adaptive high beam assist. A lot of nice features here. And one thing, this is the inline 6-cylinder, and I'll put the numbers on the screen for you. We're going to take a look under the hood just so you can see what is there. But I'll tell you what, between the 362 horsepower engine that is under the hood, the fact that it is an all-wheel drive vehicle, and the 9-speed automatic transmission, putting power to the ground is not a problem. And we'll take a test drive in just a little while so you can see exactly how that works. This is, of course, not an AMG model, but I tell you what, in this day and age, 362 horsepower is not weak. So we'll take a quick little look here. We're going to get into the rear cargo area, and there are multiple ways to open the rear cargo door, the rear lift gate, including the button right here. You can push that. You can also use your remote. As you can see, there is a button right here for opening the lift gate. There's also a button right here above the license plate holder right here. But the main thing I wanted to show you is that right here, it's in about this area, is the motion sensor for opening the rear lift gate. And what I've found is that if you just swipe your foot underneath, you don't actually have to even touch anything. Well, let's try that one more time. There we go. Sometimes you have to do it more than once when you don't do it every single day. But here's what we have. Quite a bit of space here, and I'll show you how you can maximize your cargo space in just a minute. There are multiple numbers as far as cargo space goes in cubic feet. Now, here's one thing that I want to show you, and I hope you can see this well on your screen. If you pull back, let's see if you can do it with one or both. There we go. It was a little bit stuck right there. See how those kind of go like that? Kind of sprung like that? You can actually take this little cargo cover out. I'm just going to set that on the ground for a minute so that we can see everything in here. The buttons on this side, these are for the rear seats, and this button right here is for raising and lowering the height of the vehicle. So if you're trying to get something in and it's raised up to maybe its highest position, then you can lower that down to make that a lot easier. A lot of different reasons why you might want to do that. But here's the good thing about these buttons. I'm going to hit both at the same time, but you can hit them individually. In fact, I'll just do it this way. I'll do that one first and then that one. And here's the thing. You just push those buttons. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to hold the button down. As you can see, the seats are going to go down. Now, one of the most common things I see in three-row SUVs is that those center seats, they'll go down automatically, just like what we just did. Just gonna lower those real quick for you, just so you can see that happening. It may not be a super fast action, but that's okay, not a big deal. There's your maximized cargo space. But here's what I really like. Unlike a lot of three-row SUVs, I'm going to pull back on those two buttons right there, and look what happens. You don't have to manually put those seats up. That is a nice feature, and I will put up the rear seats as well real quick, just so that's already done. Let you see those coming up. All I did was push, actually, let's see, I think you have to push on that, not pull on it. Well, let's make sure here. There we go. We'll get those up. And of course you do have, I have the floor mats and some stuff sitting in here, but I want to show you there is a full-size spare tire. Everything you need to change that, or you can always have somebody do that for you, but it is there. And here are a couple of buttons right here. This one on the right, if you want to close the rear lift gate, the automatic rear lift gate, and lock the interior at the same time, that's the button you'll push. If you just want to close the rear lift gate, then there's what you're going to do right there. So let's hop in real fast here. In fact, before we do that, I want to show you one thing here. If you've ever wondered what this is right here, that is the QR code. And let me just give you a live demonstration. I hope you never need this, but if you did, here's what would happen. First responders would show up on the scene, and they would actually hold their phone, and then they're going to click on this right here, and it's going to bring up some information that will show you what is going on with the vehicle, or show them what is going on with the vehicle. I'll show that to you on the screen real quick. Like I said, I hope you never need that, but what that does is that is meant to speed up the extrication process, because here's what they would normally have to do. They would have to look inside and try and figure out, they'd have to pull down the ceiling right here, or some of the trim and all that kind of stuff, not the ceiling, but some of the trim and all that kind of stuff, to see where the airbags are, so they wouldn't set that stuff off during the extrication process. When they know where that is, it's going to speed the process up. Of course, you can see some of the trim features here with the doors, the interior filled with high-end materials. Of course, you've got the door bins right there, and as you can see, you've got some space on the back of the seats. This is actually what you see right here. If you've always wondered why are the seats built like this in the rear, that's actually to increase leg room. Just kind of an inventive way of doing that for your middle row passengers. And of course, you have basically, well, what would be considered a map pocket right there, or maybe a map net in that case. But as you can see, this is a 3-row SUV. I'm going to put that armrest down. And by the way, guys, if you've wondered what this little knob right here is for, or whatever you call that, that's an adjustment to control how far down these armrests actually go. So if you want to increase or decrease that, see how that's going down? Put it further down for somebody who maybe is shorter or whatever, just sitting in the seat lower, and they want that to be a little bit lower for their comfort. But as you can see, I'll put the armrest up out of the way. There is a space right here, kind of a pass-through to get into the rear seats if you wanted to, but that's not what you have to do. The easiest way is to pull on that button right there, and as you can see, it's going to move the rear seat all the way up and out of the way. It takes a few seconds, but that's okay. Now that it's slid all the way up on its track, we can hop into the 3rd row. I can show you what's back here. And it's actually quite comfortable. Of course, you have to put those headrests up and out of the way. You've got a cup holder, you've got a little space right here, and you also have 2 USB ports. You have the exact mirror image, or same things right here. Now, if you look up here at this, the little space right here, you've got one on each side. You can take those out. I'll have to reach down there and get that in just a second. But this is where you can put the cargo cover if you want to do so. When you've hopped back out of the back seat, you'll have to actually hold the button down and let the seat just come back on its own. Not necessarily a big deal, but it does take a few seconds. But now that's locked back into place. Of course, you do have the tinted windows here, factory tinted, and the chrome trim here. You've got the power folding side view mirrors, and I'll hit the lock button so you can see those fold. Of course, as you can see, you also have the indicator built in, the turn signal indicator built in, and a lot of safety features such as blind spot monitoring and all that kind of stuff. There's even park assist available on here. Maybe I'll demonstrate that later on and let you see how that works. And of course, you've got the roof rails. And one thing I haven't mentioned yet, let's open the passenger side door here. Even though the shade is closed right now, there is the panoramic sunroof. Of course, you have all the typical little bells and whistles here. You've got yourself a nice large glove compartment. That's actually a pretty good sized glove box there compared to some that I've seen. Of course, let's go to the main area, which is going to be the driver's side. And of course, you have all the typical goodies here. You actually have 3 different options or settings for seat memory. Of course, here are all your seat adjustments. You have heated and ventilated seats. You also have a heated steering wheel. And of course, as we just step back here and take a look at some of the trim and everything here, you do have your controls and everything for the headlights here. You can set those to automatic if you want to. A few different options there. And this button right here, of course, how you're going to control the power tilt and telescopically adjustable steering wheel. You can also see that you have the shifter paddles there. You'll get a better look at that in just a second here. When I hop inside, hit the button there to start the engine up, and to the right of that is the auto start stop feature that I really like to turn off. Everyone has their opinions on that, but I like to turn that off. And as you can see on the dashboard right now, one of the nicest features of this particular vehicle, it obviously has navigation, but the cool thing is, unlike in a lot of other vehicles, When you're using the navigation feature, you basically have to look to the screen on the center of the dashboard. These are both 12.3-inch screens. But instead of having to look over as the driver for navigation right here, it's right in front of you on the dashboard, the instrument cluster. And you also have, and I hope you can see it well, I don't know if you can see it or not. I'm going to try and get you in a position where you can see the heads-up display, but it's a little bright right now. Maybe you'll be able to see that better on the test drive, but we will see later on as we do our test drive. But of course, you do have steering wheel mounted controls, and here's the thing with the steering wheel mounted controls, we're going to push home right there or push back, and you can go back and actually go to a lot of different features and change the display, change the overall look. Notice I'm just scrolling on this little pad right here. It's the same thing as the trackpad. It's just a lot smaller, so kind of mini trackpads on both sides, and they correspond with each screen. The left one here on the left side of the steering wheel with the left side, and of course the right over here with the right. And like I said, guys, these are touch screens. That's right. A lot of you have wanted to see that, at least with this screen on the right is a touch screen. This one's not right here, but you don't really need that to be as the driver. But you can go in and change the display. Of course, you have multiple dashboard displays that you can change, as you can see. Now, to change that each time, you're going to have to go back, at least as far as I know. I don't think there's a way to keep that on the screen as far as the designs go. But basically, you'll have to go back in every time to change that. But I do really like the way that looks. Very nice. Of course, like I said, steering wheel mounted paddle shifters. I don't know if I said that correctly earlier or not. But here is the main thing that I wanted to show you. You've got the touch screen right here. Very, very nice. Very easy to use. And for those who maybe come from older model Mercedes where all you had was the trackpad, you didn't actually have this touch screen, the MBUX system, MBUX meaning Mercedes-Benz User Experience, well, you can still do that if you want to. And of course, let me show you this right here. Kind of an easy way to show you. This right here is kind of just a little rest for your hand, so you can kind of just, if your hands are small enough, I guess you could put your wrist on there, but I can't do that. But there is what you can do. Go home, you can go across and do whatever you want to do. I'm going to use the touch screen on this. And as you can see, basically what you have is a multitude of options for things you can change. If you need assistance, well, there you go. You can go to whatever you want to change here. You have active brake assist, attention assist, traffic light view. That's something that's very nice. Automatic or on request, depending on what you want. So that's basically going to give you a view of what's going on around you, or at least in front of you, and show you where you are. You do have the system that is augmented reality that allows you to see what's going on with the vehicle as you're using navigation. And of course, we can go to vehicle right here. Again, you can select modes and different things like that. There's dynamic select if you want to do that. Individual configuration. You can change drive, suspension, steering. The dampening right there, ESP, that's going to let you use comfort or sport depending on what you want. Of course, you have a lot of different features here too. Exterior lighting, interior light display, daytime running lights, all that good stuff. Here's one that I know a lot of people like to know about. You've got brightness and color you can adjust here. 64 different colors, and depending on how bright you want that to be, what your situation is, you can change the brightness, and you have 64 different color options here. I know you can't see that right now because it's just too bright in here. I don't think you'd be able to see that too well. Well, maybe you can. You can kind of see the blue a little bit there. Let's see if we can change that to green and get a little bit better color. The blue always seems to be the brightest color, the easiest to see. You can kind of see that a little bit. I apologize, that's not coming out any better than it is. But that's how you use those particular features. Of course, dual zone climate control, you have a charging pad down here, and I'll put my phone in there so that you can see that it's charging. And not only will you see that the phone will come on, but you'll also see, I think on the screen right here, it didn't do it that time. There it is, wireless charging started, so it does come on and let you know that it's charging. So that's there. A couple of USB ports, of course, your cup holders. And of course, everything that you're used to, if you're used to a Mercedes-Benz vehicle here with just kind of a one-touch system, you can change different options on the vehicle and bring that up on the screen by just pushing this button right here. And of course, everything just corresponds. It's nice and easy to use. And right here, this little selector right here, that's how you raise and lower the vehicle from the driver's seat. So if you want to raise the vehicle up, you can do that. See, it's telling me that it's rising on the dashboard. And then if I want to lower it again, it's going to tell me, let's see if it'll come up. Not telling me right there, but it is. I can feel the vehicle lowering. So that's one of the two ways you can do that. You also have the bomb bay doors right here for your center console. Another USB port right there, and a reasonable amount of space in there. So not a big deal there. Let me put my stuff back in. By the way, guys, before I get out on the test drive, I just want to show you a couple of quick things here. When you go to assistance here, this is going to be under vehicle. So we'll go start over again here real quick for you. We're going to click vehicle, and it's already on assistance. But as you can see, you've got quite a few features here. You've got camera and parking, active brake assist, attention assist, and like I showed you earlier, but I want to just show you a couple of things here. You've got active brake assist. You can change how that works. As you can see, early, medium, late, or you can even turn that off if you want to, and you can do that with basically everything here. You also can control how the warnings work and different things like that, how loud that is. If you want it to be at 4, or if you want it to be maximized at 5, you can do that. You know, this is one of the greatest things about a vehicle like this, is basically what you can do is go ahead and just play around with things. It's really, really simple, really easy to use. Nothing to be afraid of if you've never had a vehicle like this before, because I know for a lot of people it's probably a little bit scary, maybe a little intimidating to say, man, I have never had a vehicle with that much technology on it before. I don't know that I need all of that, but I can guarantee you, after you get it and get used to it for a little while, once you learn it, you're going to find out that you really like it. And like I say, you can tailor it to your specific needs and desires. You might say, well, something is, you know, whatever is just a little too aggressive for me. Well, you can adjust it. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to hop out on the road real fast. .62 horsepower is not weak by any means. And like I said, even though this is not an AMG model of vehicle, it still gets up and goes very well. Now, I'm actually sitting a lot lower in the seat than I normally would, just because I want to make sure all of you have a good view of what's going on out of the windshield. And hopefully you can see the heads-up display. I think the camera might be a little bit too high on my head for you to see that, but I'm going to try and get you a view of the heads-up display. And of course, just like everything else, you can make adjustments to that depending on what you want. Of course, the seats fully adjustable, the head restraints adjustable, everything is adjustable and customizable. A very versatile little SUV, and I'm really impressed with the acceleration of this little GLS 450. I mean, I'm not really feeling like I'm moving that fast, but I'm watching the speedometer and seeing that, boy, it is doing really well. Now, this is a nice smooth road, but you'll notice that the cabin noise is really pretty minimal. It's nice and quiet in here. Now, every vehicle is going to react or act differently when it comes to road noise, or what some would call cabin noise, like I just said. And it's really going to depend not just on the vehicle and how it's built, but also the road itself. I don't care what you're driving. Some roads are in such bad shape that it's not going to matter. So, as we cruise down the road here, like I said, I showed you earlier, you can adjust everything. You can adjust the driving mode to be sport, but you can still have the suspension set to comfort. So, depending on what your situation is or what your really personal desires are, you can customize this vehicle to fit you. It's just one of the nicest things. A lot of people, like I said earlier, might look at the price tag on this particular model and say, man, that is awfully expensive for a 3-row SUV. But when you start looking at all of the features and functionality and ultimately customization, then you kind of understand what you're actually paying for. And I do like the fact that the throttle is very responsive to my touch. Something you don't get in every single vehicle. Sometimes you get into a vehicle you haven't driven before, which I've never driven one of these GLS 450s before. So you'll often find that it's a little bit jerky maybe as you push down on the gas pedal, and it just takes a little while to get used to. But I've discovered this is not difficult to drive. It actually just follows my foot perfectly. It's not real aggressive, so to speak, or maybe something I have to get used to. I just hopped in and went, no problem. The steering wheel, of course, it's a leather-wrapped steering wheel, and it is heated, like I said earlier. A very comfortable steering wheel, and also very responsive. And again, you can change the steering. You can change how that acts depending on what you want. Now, this is not really meant to necessarily be a high-performance SUV, although it has some of those sort of characteristics. And I have the suspension is currently set to comfort. So there's going to be some body roll. If you want to tighten that up and go through some corners, maybe even have a little bit of fun, you can adjust the damping, the ESP, all that stuff to be set to sport if you would like that. And then, of course, that's going to reduce some of the body roll and give you a more stable ride. Ultimately, what I have to say about the GLS 450 4MATIC is that it's a very comfortable SUV, quite roomy. The interior itself is plush, very nice materials, very enjoyable to drive. If you're looking for a vehicle maybe that has a lot of versatility to it, I mean, here I am, I'm going through this corner just a little bit over the speed limit, but the speed limit is 55 miles per hour on this road. Didn't really get a lot of body roll right there. And again, there's two things that contribute to that. Number one, how the vehicle itself is set up as far as the suspension and everything goes, and also to how used you are to the steering characteristics of the vehicle. But I have to say, high marks. Of course, that's typical of Mercedes. High marks for the interior, the exterior, everything is well built, very comfortable, very easy to navigate your way around. That's one of the great things about the MBUX system. And don't forget that the MBUX system is interactive, and just like this. Hey, Mercedes. Well, let's try that one more time. Hey, Mercedes.
How can I help?
How much gas do I have left?
You can still drive 245 miles.
And there you have it. There's a lot of different questions you can ask. You can ask where restaurants are, where the nearest gas station is, things like that, and Mercedes will help you out. I appreciate my friends at Mercedes-Benz of Shreveport for loaning me this fun little SUV for the day, and all of you for being kind enough to take the time to watch. I really appreciate all of you guys, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.